There's never been a manager like Brian Clough before, never, and I can't see ever another one like him ever again.
If he thought that you were absolutely magnificent, he would hang your hat on you and say, "This is it, go and play." But there were other moments in games where it would be harrowing. You'd be out trying to prove him wrong rather than prove him right.
I heard stories about how he felt at times that he had such a connection with his players that if they were just walking on the pitch, if he thought about it, he could make them turn and look at him.
Brian Clough was touched by genius. I don't think there's any doubt about that. He knew it, and he made everybody else know it, which made him an unpleasant, difficult guy to be with.
There were times when he was obviously under fantastic pressure, but he had that coolness and the ability to handle it all and make it look easy.
Great managers are great people in life. You know, they're on the verge of insanity at times, and I think Brian was one of them people. You know, he was touching on the verge at all times.
And that might be aiming for utopia, and it might mean being a little bit stupid, but that is the way I am. I'm a little bit stupid regarding this type of thing. I'm a little bit of an idealist. I do believe in fairies, and that is my, outlook.
Player, manager, pundit, celebrity, family man, psychologist, pantomime villain. Brian Clough was all of these and more. However, the story of this very complex character had a very simple beginning. On Teesside.
Got great childhood memories, not of riding horses or on yachts and things like that, but great memories of happiness in parks and playing football. A very happy home, working class, large family, 5 brothers, 2 sisters. Academically, not very bright, a bit of a letdown in the family I was. Everybody else made it to the grammar school.
Well, I remember finding the woman who used to run his kids team. I remember her saying that he was always different from the others. Not necessarily in an arrogant way then, but he went against the flow, which I suppose marked him out at a very early age as somebody who was either going to be brushed aside completely or was going to storm his way through all the traditional ways of doing everything and say, "Bugger that, I'll do it my way."
After 3 years of military service, Clough signed for his hometown club. Middlesbrough had a new leader of their attack.
My fondest memories are when I was a player. And I am very happy having scored 250 league goals quicker than anybody else. But I've got to tell my grandchildren I used to be able to play football. Hey, better than Greaves's record. And Jimmy was the best of all.
I would walk with Peter Saylor and we'd meet Brian and Eddie Holliday in the main park and walk to the ground together.
I used to live over on the Longlands and Brian used to live on Grove Hill, and we would often meet as we were walking to training in this area that we're in now. He was the finest striker of a ball I've ever played with, and I've had the pleasure of playing with, I think, the 2 greatest goal scorers of that era. One was Jimmy Greaves and the other one was Brian Clough.
You could have let a bomb off in the penalty area when he was going through one goal. Wouldn't have affected him.
All his attributes were to be a manager, to be a good manager, even when he was playing. I think we went to Charlton and we drew 6 each. He was none too pleased, of course, and he certainly made it known to the defence in more or less how many goals do we have to score to win.
He was always completely confident about his own ability. So anybody who disagreed with him, he would ignore or even trample over. And that became more and more part of his life and his style.
As a player, I loved doing it. I'd have played till I was 90 if I could.
International recognition followed, but just 2 caps and no goals before local rival Sunderland acquired his services, a move that was to change his life on Boxing Day 1962.
Well, the ball came forward and Brian was chasing and I came out and dived across him, which goalkeepers do, to block the ball. Brian came over the top of me.
I knew it was serious, obviously, because somebody stuck me in hospital. I'd not only done my knee, I happened to bang my head. And a lot of people put it down to the way I've behaved in the last 10 years.
It was the end of his career. It was finished. And, you know, where do you go from there? And you've got to give credit to him for carrying on and doing what he achieved.
You never believe at 27 you finished in anything, do you? Not especially if you're an athlete. And I trained for 18 months, and I managed to get back onto a football field. It was just that I didn't get back as well as I left it.
Clough was influenced by the man who signed him for Sunderland, the disciplinarian Alan Brown. However, it was Brown's successor who gave Brian his first managerial break.
George Hardwick was manager there at the time, and he gave Brian a role in the youth team. And I think he went on from there, Brian, from Sunderland Youth, and I think he went to Hartlepool.
To describe Hartlepool's football club as a tip would be giving a bonus to a tip. Peter Taylor joined me there, but we really were rock bottom, but we got a spirit together. We avoided re-election, which was the norm for Hartlepool before I went there.
The first time I met him was on, I think, a Thursday night at Hartlepool, where I was training with the reserves, and just there on trial. And he came up to me and said, "Stand up straight, get your shoulders back and get your hair cut, you look like a girl." And it was a little bit frightening as a 16-year-old. But after the initial sort of fright had worn off, he then began to talk to me and educate me about how the game should be played.
People said, oh, he ruled by fear. It was quite the opposite. He took the fear out of football and they played to their strengths.
Now inside left, Francis. This could be very dangerous for Stockport, and the ball comes across. This must be a goal, and it is.
We thought right from the beginning, from our early days at Hartlepool, when we first started management, that together we could have success quicker together than we could individually.
You're just too good to be true.
After modest results with Hartlepool, Clough and Taylor were recruited by then struggling second division Derby County. The year was 1967.
I've got my mind set on football. I know how I approach it, etc., etc. Make no difference whether it's Derby County or whether it's Liverpool.
I came 18 months ago from Burton Albion to be with Brian Clough. Brian Clough, the man I know, and I intend to stay with Brian Clough, and I intend to go with Brian Clough to the top of the tree.
7 matches into the season, we made an offer of £6,500 for my services, and I then went to, obviously, negotiate a contract with him. He just said, sign that, it's the best thing you've ever done in your life, so I signed for Derby County.
When he was bought from Hartlepool at Derby, one director said to me, what have you brought us? A splather-footed, innocuous, frail, weakling and all that type of thing, which as opposed to the unlearned eye, that's exactly what he was. And it was a typical director's opinion.
Clough rarely took notice of directors, instead relying on instinct and Taylor to secure the talent for success. In Derby's case, Spurs legend Dave Mackay.
All the time I was there, we never had an argument. He never raised his voice. We had the shooting box at the Derby and just letting the kids have a wee shot and that. But Brian reckons I taught them how to play.
Did you?
No, just letting them hit the ball and kick the ball, that was all. I never taught them anything, but Brian said it did.
David Mackay set the base, and then everybody else blossomed. They were all there waiting for everything until the sun came out, and David Mackay and Willie Carlin was our sunshine.
So it's Mackay this time. And it goes!
We've got a team spirit that borders on blind faith in each other, and you can't go wrong with that kind of feeling.
We've got a lot of character in the side. And if anything is going to win second division this season, apart from the normal skill and fight and all that type of thing, it's character. And I've got it, I think.
Oh, McFarlane, a fine goal! What beautiful football! And that could mean promotion for Derby.
Oh, you are a bloody disgrace!
You're missing the target from there. You want bloody shooting.
You just recognise the talent of an individual player.
I can see no point in you taking corners. I'd much prefer you sticking it in.
You find them, you sign them, you handle them.
Get in there. That's what I pay you for.
He made Rolls Royces out of pig iron. Just find players who you knew could do a job. You knew you could mould them into anything you want. And then prove it and do it. And he did it time and time and time again.
Well, it had taken us a couple of years to establish ourselves in the First Division after winning promotion. But by 72, you know, as a side, we were really getting it together.
We're finding a bit of room. Back again, John Radford with him.
We just kept plugging away and we got better and we got more exciting and we got more confident.
At the end of the season, the battle for the First Division title was a three-horse race. Having completed their fixtures, the Derby players went on holiday to Mallorca and waited nervously for the results.
Liverpool, if they'd won at Arsenal their last match, they'd have beaten us. And Leeds just needed a draw at Wolves. Peter Taylor wanted all the players to come round because he had a telephone link with someone in Madrid that was going to let us know whether we'd actually won the championship or not. And the strange thing was that the telephone link broke down before Peter Taylor could say for definite, you've won the league. And we knew the next morning because the place was just inundated with cameramen, reporters.
Brian Clough at this moment is on holiday in the Scilly Isles, but last night we got in touch with him.
I wanted everybody to feel like I felt last night, everybody in the world in actual fact, and this morning. It was an unforgettable feeling, and I only wish that, you know, everybody could have shared it with me and everybody in the world.
It turned into a big, big fiesta at the hotel with people wearing sombreros, people getting thrown into the swimming pool.
It's not very often you can get to the peak of your career surrounded with your mum and dad and your wife and your 3 kids.
He won the second division championship, then he won the Division 1 as it was in those days. With an unfashionable team, I mean, or club I should say. I mean, it's not Arsenal. Derby isn't Arsenal.
A lot of people you claimed at the beginning didn't really give Derby County credit for winning it, but surely since then you've had your full acknowledgement, haven't you?
There were a lot of silly people that didn't, Frank, yes. The more intelligent ones among you did.
The title triumph proved a springboard that launched Brian from mere manager to celebrity.
What makes me laugh?
I mean, you have a sense of humour, obviously.
I went to see you on Thursday night at Talk of the Midlands in Derby. I'm sorry, it was Mike Yarwood.
He doesn't do a bad job on you, as you might see in a moment. Have you ever thought of extending your career in the entertainment business? Manager, television? Would you like to play Hamlet or pantomime or something like that?
I think I'd like to play Hamlet, but I've no great ambition to be a Shakespearean actor. If that was offered to me, I'd have to change some of the words. He was a good lad. He could have been better.
He was a big head. I mean, he was a man with great certainty of point of view, of attitude. He didn't see the other side of the argument too often at all.
But there's some fella in London, England, named some Brian Clough, some soccer player or something. Anyway, I heard all the way in America, heard all the way in Indonesia that this fella talks too much. They say he's another Muhammad Ali. There's just one Muhammad Ali. And I want you to, whoever you are, you're not a fighter and you don't take my job. I'm the talker. Now, Clough, I've had enough. Stop it.
Well, are you going to stop it?
No, I want to fight him.
I think people loved that